The antediluvian period begins with an awe-inspiring narrative in Genesis chapter 1 and 2. Here, we encounter the foundational account of how God brought the universe into existence. The narrative unfolds in a structured sequence over 6 days, with God creating light, the heavens and earth, plants, celestial bodies, sea and land creatures, and finally, humanity. The theological implications of this account are profound. It asserts that God is the ultimate creator, crafting the cosmos with purpose and order. It highlights humanity's unique position as the pinnacle of creation, created in the image of God. The Garden of Eden, described as a paradise, symbolizes the harmonious relationship between God, humanity, and the natural world. Additionally, the creation narrative emphasizes humanity's responsibility as stewards of the earth, entrusted with its care and cultivation. It sets the stage for understanding the moral and spiritual themes that will unfold throughout the antediluvian period. Adam and Eve, the first humans. The second part of the antediluvian period focuses on the creation of humanity, particularly the first man, Adam, and his wife, Eve. Here, we witness the intimate act of God forming Adam from the dust of the earth and breathing life into him. Eve is created from Adam's rib, signifying their interconnectedness and unity. The Garden of Eden is introduced as a place of beauty, abundance, and divine communion. God establishes a unique relationship with Adam and Eve, granting them dominion over creation while setting a single restriction: the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Theological, this account explores the concepts of human free will and moral responsibility. It highlights humanity's capacity to choose between obedience and disobedience to God's commands. The story of the fall, in which Adam and Eve succumb to temptation and sin, underscores the consequences of human choices and the introduction of suffering and mortality into the world. The lineage of Cain and Abel. The next segment of the antediluvian narrative introduces us to the next generation of humanity, Cain and Abel, the sons of Adam and Eve. Their story, marked by sibling rivalry and tragedy, offers profound insights into the human condition and the consequences of sin. Cain and Abel each bring offerings to God, but God favors Abel's offering over Cain's. Out of jealousy and anger, Cain kills his brother Abel. This act of fratricide is a pivotal moment in the antediluvian narrative, showcasing the devastating effects of sin on human relationships and human nature. The consequences of Cain's actions include his separation from the presence of God and a life of wandering. God's mercy, however, extends even to Cain, as God marks him to protect him from retaliation. The generations of Adam. This segment continues with the genealogical account of the descendants of Adam and Eve. This lineage includes not only Cain but also the birth of other sons and daughters. The genealogy offers a glimpse into the expanding human population during the antediluvian period. This part also mentions various advancements in human civilization, such as the development of agriculture and the crafting of musical instruments. It paints a picture of a growing, technologically adept society. Theologically, this genealogy reminds us of the interconnectedness of all humanity, tracing the lineage from Adam and Eve to future generations. It acknowledges human achievements while also highlighting the ongoing moral challenges faced by the descendants of Adam and Eve. The righteous lineage of Seth. This segment shifts its focus to the lineage of Seth, another son of Adam and Eve. This lineage is portrayed as distinct from that of Cain, with a focus on righteousness and faithfulness to God. Notable figures in this genealogy include Enoch, who walked with God and was taken by God, and Methuselah, known for his exceptionally long life. The contrast between the descendants of Seth and those of Cain underscores the theme of righteousness in the antediluvian period. It suggests that while wickedness and sin may have been prevalent, there were individuals who maintained a faithful relationship with God. The mention of Methuselah's longevity, 969 years, stands as a remarkable detail within this genealogy, emphasizing the extraordinary nature of life in the antediluvian era. The Nephilim and the corruption of humanity. This segment introduces a mysterious element into the antediluvian narrative, the Nephilim. These enigmatic beings are mentioned in a few verses as the sons of God, taking human wives and producing offspring who become mighty men of renown. The identity and nature of the Nephilim have sparked considerable debate and interpretation throughout history. One interpretation suggests that the Nephilim were fallen angels or divine beings who cohabited with humans, leading to the rise of exceptionally powerful and corrupt individuals. This mingling of the divine and human realms adds complexity to the narrative and raises questions about the moral and spiritual state of humanity during this time. The growing wickedness of humanity, influenced by the Nephilim or other factors, prompts God to grieve over human sin and decide to bring judgment upon the earth through the Great Flood. The wickedness of humanity and God's judgment. This segment marks a turning point in the antediluvian narrative as it leads to the catastrophic event of the Great Flood. It opens with a description of increasing wickedness and corruption on earth, with human hearts inclined toward evil continually. God's response to this state of affairs is to bring judgment in the form of a global flood. God selects Noah, a righteous man, to build an ark and preserve a remnant of humanity and all living creatures. This segment provides detailed instructions for the construction of the ark and the gathering of animals. The theological themes in this segment include divine judgment, human wickedness, and the concept of a faithful remnant. It underscores the consequences of persistent sin and God's willingness to extend grace to those who remain faithful. The Great Flood and its aftermath. This segment continues the narrative with the account of the Great Flood itself. Rain falls for 40 days and nights, causing the waters to cover the earth. All life outside the ark is destroyed. The ark, a symbol of God's provision and salvation, carries Noah, his family, and the animals through the deluge. The segment details the gradual recession of the floodwaters, the sending forth of a raven and dove to determine the state of the earth, and Noah's offerings to God upon exiting the ark. Theological, the Great Flood is seen as an act of divine judgment and cleansing, symbolizing a form of baptism and a fresh start for creation. The covenant established between God and humanity, symbolized by the rainbow, represents God's commitment to never again destroy the earth in this manner. Lessons and theological significance. The antediluvian period, as described in Genesis, holds profound lessons and theological significance for believers. It prompts us to reflect on the consequences of sin, the reality of divine judgment, and the concept of divine grace. The story of Noah and the Great Flood highlights themes of obedience, righteousness, and God's covenant. It emphasizes the importance of faithfulness in the face of wickedness and the assurance of God's protection for the righteous. The theological richness of this period extends to questions of morality, responsibility, and the enduring message of hope that arises from God's promise. Historical and archaeological perspectives. Beyond the biblical narrative, scholars and historians have explored the antediluvian period from historical and archaeological perspectives. While the Bible provides foundational accounts, other ancient texts and discoveries have contributed to our understanding of early civilizations, cultures, and technological advancements. These perspectives offer insights into the broader context of the antediluvian era, shedding light on the historical and cultural elements that may have influenced the biblical narrative. The antediluvian period in literature and art. Throughout history, the antediluvian period has inspired literature, art, and cultural expressions. Works of literature, both biblical and non-biblical, have drawn from the narrative elements of creation, the fall, the flood, and the ark. Artists, too, have depicted these stories in paintings, sculptures, and other forms of artistic expression. These creative interpretations have served to preserve the narrative's themes and characters, shaping cultural perceptions of the antediluvian period across different times and traditions.